be a 20-second delay or something.
Yeah.
You can start talking.
Oh, hey everybody. Sorry for a slight delay. We finally got our technical difficulties finished, so welcome to a delayed start to AFTN's Haiti versus Canada Watchalong World Cup qualifiers. We're about 11 minutes in. We've got stuff sorted out here. I'm Michael McCall.
I'm Steve Pan.
I'm Zachary Adam Eisenhower.
I'm William Silver.
And I will hand you over to Zach to go through the team, just set some things up while we finish getting some of our technical stuff sorted out here.
Okay, yeah, thank you so much for joining us. For this one, it was good to hang out this way for the game last week. But yeah, today Canada appears to be lining up in a little bit of a different way from some of the previous games. But in goal and captaining the side once again is Milan Borjan. And if both the eye and the Google are to be believed, it appears as though it's a 3-4-3. Thanks for that help with that, Will. It looks.
And Steve, can I just jump in here to say you've spelled Haiti wrong?
What'd they ever do to you, Steve?
Hey, that's not shame overspell. So left to right, we have Scott Kennedy from Bundesliga 2 side Jan Regensburg playing the left side of the three. At the back, Steven Vittoria is at the center of it, and Alistair Johnson is on the right side. Then midfield, left to right, is Alphonso Davies, Mark Anthony Kay, Estacio, and Richie Larea. And then up top on here, and this is where we've been having some discussion, is so far left to right, it's Jonathan Osorio, Kyle Larin in the middle, and Jonathan David on the right. I think that front three is going to be quite fluid, and I could see it even taking a different shape than a flat three the way it sort of is now, where you have Osorio in behind the two of them, and even like Larin and David switching whether they're playing centrally or wide, because Larin, for those who've been following that Besiktas this year, know that he's done a lot of playing from the wide positions and been quite effective at that in the Turkish league this year. So there's been some half chances. There was at least one scary moment. I have the volume off, so I couldn't quite tell if there was that one was called back for anything. But yeah, Will, what have you been seeing so far, man?
Well, definitely the first few minutes, it seemed like it was very much Haiti on the front foot and the attack. There was that scary opportunity from Borjan. I don't think it was called back, but again, I've got volume off. But in the last few minutes, just as I say that, the last few minutes, Canada has definitely been on the attack, pushing up. Davies pushing up on the left side, and Kennedy pushing up to support him and to cover. And obviously, it's paying dividends.
So yeah, Kyle Larin with the clinical finish with the cross on the right. I didn't see who put it. Do you see who put the cross in, Will?
I missed that, but I definitely
it's coming right now.
Have to see it again.
A tidy finish.
Missed everything because I'm still trying to sort everything out here. But yes.
What are you wearing, Michael? Is that East 5?
It is my East 5 home kit for the season that's just finished and the season to come, because I don't have any Canada gear, so I thought I would wear that. But yes, it is 1-0 to Canada.
Osorio.
I'm still waiting for the replay.
So Osorio on the right, yeah.
So definitely they're mixing it up, eh? So
I was going to ask for your predictions right off the bat. I had this pegged for 3-0. It was a lovely ball in there from Osorio and a cool finish from Kyle Larin.
I was going to say, Michael, just like my last one, I think it needs to be at least 3-0. At least.
I had it for 2-1 to Canada.
I was actually going to say 2-1 as well.
Oh, there you go.
So we're all very confident. That's the main thing.
I don't know if you heard the crack in my voice when I said 2-1, but no, it wasn't that much confidence.
The only thing I'll say, just after Zach's gone through the lineup, is I'd love to hear what you guys think about this. But my knee-jerk reaction is three at the back a wise thing when the biggest complaint about this squad is that it lacks a little bit on the back line. Mm-hmm. Obviously, they're leaning hard into the offensive power. Putting David and Davies and Osorio and all those people up front, Larin. But is that a wise strategy to lean so hard into the offense?
I don't know. Steve, as well, at the top of the screen, Haiti's still spelt wrong. You've got Hatia.
Oh, damn it. Okay, I'm gonna have to fix that later. Don't worry, that'll be part of the technical difficulties.
But that was a shocking challenge there. Was that on Fonzie?
Yeah,
I believe
it was. I think that's going to be the first of many that we see this afternoon.
Well, I hear what you're saying in terms of being concerned about Canada defensively. It's definitely the biggest concern I think in the squad is how they perform defensively and who's playing and where they're playing and all that kind of stuff. I don't mind what they're doing though, because it allows them to be very aggressive going forward, but it also allows them to essentially play five at the back. Because Alfonso can get back and Lorea can get back, and they can almost even shift it, right? And so I kind of like it. I'm kind of excited to see what they how it does against this Haiti side for sure. And obviously it depends on who they're playing. So I think even though they've had problems with Haiti in the not so distant past, that should have been 2-0 from Kyle.
Someone's phone's interfering, so
that's not mine.
Just make sure your phones are away from your mics. Yeah, I'm a probably about 10-15 seconds behind you guys, so I'm at 17-10. So I've just seen that Kyle Larin chance. That should have been 2-0, as you said. It's a comfortable start. I mean, were you surprised that John Herdman maybe didn't mix it up a little bit more for this one? Or is it all about getting the goals on the board in this first leg, then maybe get a chance to mix it up a little bit in the second leg if you're going back to Chicago feeling that it's job done?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is looking like they're looking for goals, putting that lineup up, especially on the front line. To Zach's point too, I think also it shows confidence in the midfield and maybe Mark Anthony Kay. Like the Whitecaps back in the day, they felt like they had a good midfield with Laba and Zach's good friend and friend of the show, Coffee. But yeah, it seems to me that they also have, rely on the midfield to hold it down as well.
I mean, the attack, like what you were talking about there, it is so potent, and the defense, I do feel once they come up against some of the big guns in CONCACAF, it's going to be really, that's going to be the big test for them. Right now, it's all about getting through phase 2. Phase 1's in the books. They got past Suriname. We talked last week, I said I felt Suriname had been a bit overblown. We talked about it in our podcast as well. Even the Suriname coach felt that those games against Canada, that it came a little bit too early for them. So they had a few scares in that game against Suriname on Tuesday. And it's scares that you feel if you're playing a US or a Mexico or a Costa Rica, maybe even a Honduras, they're going to put some of those chances away that Suriname had. But I think right now it's just all about getting to the octagon, the octopus, as I'm wanting to try and get to catch on. And after that, hopefully have a bit of time to maybe use the Gold Cup to work on getting some defensive kind of chemistry going, look to see who you feel is your best guy. Kennedy's obviously put a big stake to a starting spot, which, I don't know, I was a little bit surprised because I thought they would have Vittoria and Henry going as your main centre-back pairing. But I think the way that Kennedy played on Tuesday against Suriname, and if he has another solid outing here, he's going to be the starter then, I guess, going forward.
I think that he offers some versatility, especially in this kind of formation. He's left-footed. He can play center-back. He can play left-back. He supposedly could even play in midfield a little bit. So I think that plus whatever he's been showing, he showed in his league campaign and maybe he showed in training, has impressed Herdman and the coaches enough to trust him in this way. Because like we were talking about before, Michael, like I was hoping he was going to get in the previous round of games so that I'd get to see him play a little bit. But now we've gotten to see him play in the kind of the bigger, more significant matches. But I guess I wanted to see him in the Aruba game. I thought we'd see him in the Aruba game, but he played against Suriname, and now he's starting again today, which is exciting. In terms of what you're saying, in terms about like getting, maybe spreading things out or whatever, I really think that they need to, for lack of a better term, like they need to kill the tie now, like in this game, not like just save energy for the like. I think they have enough players and stuff. I think they need to like really go for it in this game and really like be up by 3 or more goals in this game, so that the next game is the way they manage that game is a little bit different.
Yeah, I think also you mentioned something interesting, Michael, that's been a bit of a conversation in the last 24 to 48 hours is the amount of focus. And you were saying that Suriname was saying that we were almost putting too much emphasis, or it was overblown. It seems like in our minds as being long-standing / suffering Canadian national team supporters, you worry so much about getting into the hex, at least the last 2 cycles, that this Suriname game is so big, they're on the rise. It's like, in the terms of the long-term, last 20 years, Suriname they're having a good run, but they're not the world power in CONCACAF. So it's like we're used to getting very emotionally invested at the stage of the game almost, it seems like.
Yeah,
to me.
see, I get that, because it's like I've only been watching Canada for 12, 13 years, so I have been through some of the heartbreak, but not all of it that you guys have been through. We'll just break off now. It's another Canada attack that I'm seeing. So for anyone that is just tuning in, right now I'm at 22:40. I think Will and Zach's about 10-15 seconds ahead.
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea what part of the game we're in.
I'm about 8 seconds on you, Michael.
Okay, so that's better than last time when I was watching it on my Roku stick. I've finally got it to work on one of the browsers. I know lots of people were complaining about One Soccer and the crashes last weekend. I had real trouble on the first 2 browsers. The browser that comes with my LG TV just would not work good on that. I tried the Silk browser on my Amazon Fire Stick. It would not work good on that. I eventually got it to work on Firefox on there, which isn't supported anymore on the Amazon Fire Sticks, but at least it's still there and it was working. So, I mean, the Roku, I had no issues at all. It did not crash at all. And like, so far, touch wood, this stream has worked really good for me as well. I haven't seen too many folk complaining about things crashing as well.
Yeah,
I can join you guys now. I'm done fixing
Yeah,
everything.
I finally finished tweeting everything out as well. So apologies again for that. For anyone that's just joining us or we never got a chance to do this off the bat, we're going to talk a little bit at halftime about the Euros, and then maybe at halftime into the second half we'll kind of have a little quick chat about Copa America that kicks off on Sunday as well. But for this first half, we're focusing primarily on Canada. So get your questions into the chat. We will try and do as many chat questions as we can during it. AFTN Canada for me on Twitter as well, if you want to send any questions. This game is being broadcast on One Soccer. No, we won't have any of the footage at all because we're not allowed to. The backdrop for me, by the way, I found this on sort of a search this morning. This is the stadium. It's a painting from 2016, or at least it was sold in 2016. It's an art painting of the stadium, which it looks really cool.
Oh, very cool.
The stadium that we're playing.
The stadium that they're at just now looks a little bit different. Looks a lot more scenic in the roundabout than
don't
what the
see
aerial
the
shot
trees
is.
and the nice quaint village.
No, that may no longer exist. I don't know. They are apparently building a brand new stadium in Haiti. I found that out as well, which like the plans for it look absolutely stunning.
Oh, cool.
But it's one of those things. It's like when you're in a country that's going through a lot of poverty, with the earthquakes and the storms that's hit, do you justify spending that amount of money on a football stadium?
Mm-hmm.
I was just reading one of my old Groundtastic magazines, and they were talking about a new stadium that had been opened in Ivory Coast, and it was crazy hundreds of dollars that they'd spent on it, and it's not a rich country, and it's like, is that the best way to spend your money in the country?
Do you mean hundreds of millions of dollars?
Hundreds of millions, yeah.
Oh.
Not just hundreds of dollars. Hundreds of dollars is a bargain for a stadium, to be fair, if we could throw that up.
This is an exciting stage of World Cup qualifying, obviously. And speaking of the World Cup, on Twitter we have Simon Fudge message to say that he is watching from Qatar. I think he's on site getting ready for the World Cup.
Yep, Simon is down there working with a FIFA working group just now to get things set up there. The pictures he's shared, it's like mid-40s heat. I just could not take that. I've been struggling with how hot it's been here this week, and it's just barely got into the 20s. But it's 1-0 to Canada. Kyle Larin with the opening goal. And like since then, Haiti's been quite happy just to knock the ball about. It's like not a lot of urgency from Haiti, and there doesn't need to be yet. It's a two-legged tie. There's still a lot of this to go. The worst thing Haiti can do is push forward, go gung-ho, and let Canada sneak a second here. Canada get a second, get a third, you already kind of feel it's going to be game over. But then we did think that in the Gold Cup, when Canada were sitting comfortably at halftime 2019. I mean, let's touch on that, because John Herdman talked about it, Fonzie talked about it after the Suriname game. This was a game that the players all wanted. They've got some ghosts to put to bed, but they also want to show everybody just how this group has grown and that they've developed, and they're just in a better state than we were 2 years ago. Because I think that raised a lot of questions, especially for John Herdman. It's like, when that happened, it's like, was Herdman the right man to be in charge? There's a lot of folk giving Herdman, I think, a very short leash, which I think is unfair. And folks seem to have had the knives out for him from the minute that he got the job. And it's like the proof of the pudding is in this campaign. We talked about it on our show last week, and so far you can't knock him. They've done everything you could ask of them in the qualifying. They're doing it again today. 28 minutes into this, it's 1-0 to Canada. And nice to see Canada putting in a couple of robust challenges as well. It's not just the Haiti guys, but that's my big worry for this. I mean, I was confident they're going to get through it, but my big worry was what the weather was going to be like. Because I watched the Haiti-Nicaragua game live on Tuesday afternoon, and when that storm rolled in, this pitch that we're looking at just now that looks perfect was waterlogged. There was puddles everywhere. The ball wasn't running. And that would have been a complete nightmare for Canada, because we want to obviously have our quick guys running at it, playing up the wing. It was meant to be like that for the whole week, but it's a beautiful day. The sun is out just now, and it looks absolutely gorgeous. And the pitch looks perfect for Canada. It is breaking up a little bit.
Michael, we have some people in the chat. I think you should go and connect, because I missed what you were saying, and they're commenting, I think, on what you were saying. So Jonathan Tannenwald is in the chat, as well as Ian Allen and a few others. James made a comment earlier in the chat that Canada really needs to stop giving away these turnovers, otherwise it's going to cost them, which I think we can all agree with.
Yeah, so Navina Cinci says, why do we need to win by a good margin? Well, we don't. Basically, as things stand just now, if the next leg finishes 0-0, they're through. So this is a one-off. It's a two-legged tie. But it's basically whoever wins this is through to the octagon, the final 8 of CONCACAF qualifying. So Canada just have to win this tie overall. I was just wanting them to get a couple of goals early in this, just win big, so that they can kind of rest some of the guys or have a little bit of squad rotation for the second leg on Tuesday, so that you're not running these guys into the ground. That is the main thing. Just get the job done tonight.
And it also helps with the away goal differential too, I believe, in these.
Yes.
So that as well helps, so you can get as many goals as possible. I personally would like to see a big margin so I can relax in the second game and have a celebration kind of game.
Well, that's as a supporter, that's a big thing, is to take a little bit of the anxiety away from the second time.
Again, I'm working on Tuesday night. Yeah, so I don't want to be stressed out having to check my.
Plus, you don't know when they're going to, given CONCACAF, stop counting wins and start just counting goal differential or number of
that's
red
MLS.
shoes that are
That's
on
MLS. That's MLS. Yeah.
Talking of MLS, do you know there's an actual MLS game on today? It's on right now.
Really?
Kansas City and Austin are playing this afternoon.
What time? I got to get that on. I haven't watched enough games today.
2:00, so it's on right now.
Oh.
Don't affect your bandwidth with the stream. So some more stuff from the chat. James Sutherland says, Canada are playing a very dangerous game with all these turnovers in midfield. Yeah, it's been a little bit sloppy in the middle. I mean, we've talked about the defence, we've talked about the attack. The midfield is a bit hit or miss sometimes, it feels. And for games against Mexico, against the US, the midfield is where a lot of these battles could be won.
Oh, they're doing a water break. I didn't realize they were going to be doing one.
Oh.
Speaking of Sporting Kansas City, I just want to mention that it seems like that somebody from Belgium watches our show too, because they destroyed Russia today. We'll talk about that later, but I just found it funny that every time I speak poorly about a team, they do really well in the next game.
Yes.
Oh,
I know. Well, like,
can I?
Actually, I'll talk about that when we get to the Euros. What were you going to say, Will?
I was just going to say, just going back a little bit, maybe we'll talk about a bit more about this, about the short leash on Herdman. And just, my quick 2 cents on it is, I get where people are coming from. And obviously there's some urgency from Canadian soccer supporters. And clearly, can we call this our golden generation? Is this a golden generation?
I have been. That's how I've been calling it.
But it's the beginning of a golden generation. Yes. We're talking about Davies and David are what, 20 and 21?
Well, yeah, they've got
let's do it
10, 12, 15 years potentially together.
So I know I want results. I know Zach wants results. I'm sure Steve wants results. Let's just take it as it goes. And can I also just say, like, I know that it's impossible to tease away the impact of, say, Davies and David being two of the best players in the world and being on our squad, and to say that recruitment isn't impacted by that. But you have to give a little bit of kudos to Herdman. He's at least trying to go out and recruiting those people. And as someone who lived through all the Guzman stuff and multiple other near misses, the fact that we've actually been able to recruit people in the last few years, people who didn't have to declare for Canada, I mean, it's night and day. Now, having said that, I get it with the short leash on Herdman, but I think things are going in the right direction. And let's just wait and see, because there's still these two games and possibly a Hex coming up. Hopefully.
Octagon.
So let's just see. Let's not bring out the knives just yet. I'm not saying don't bring them out. Let's just wait a little.
The knives I think the knives have been sharpened but put away. But yeah. I mean, Jonathan Tannenwald, hello to our good friend Jonathan who's in the chat, said that some people probably feel that he didn't get the job on merit.
Well, that's the other controversy.
That was a big discussion at the time. Because folk like Mark DeSantis had been kind of in the running for the Canada job in the past before Floro had got it. So it's like you're thinking, would he maybe have been the guy that would have been in the running for this? I mean, it was a strange appointment, and I had my doubts, but you've got to give him time. And the good thing was there wasn't a knee-jerk reaction after that last Gold Cup, because it could have been very, very easy for them to say, okay, maybe this hasn't worked. You can always beat who's in front of you, and it's not been quality competition. The proof of the pudding, the proof of how good John Herdman has put this together is going to be in the Octagon.
So I just want to mention that I saw, while you guys were talking, I saw a replay of the Larin goal, and what made me a little bit nervous was seeing either the Haitian army or the police force behind the stands, and I was going, oh boy, they better not score too many goals then.
Hey, a couple of things from well, let me just talk about Herdman. Although I understand where Jonathan's comments are coming from in terms of merit, like I think that the CSA saw what how he carried himself and his approach with the women's team, and felt it could be a good fit for the men's team. So in terms of like, yes, he hadn't proven himself with men's teams, I guess, sure, but like I wasn't totally bothered by it, and I think, yeah, like you said, Michael, he needs a run. He's had a couple one or two negative things for sure, but I think they're in a good form right now, and I think he's leading them in a good direction. I think the players are responding to him well, and that's without talking to any of the players specifically about what's going on. But
I spoke to some of the players after he first took over, and like on calls and one-on-ones, and they were all. I was concerned that some of the guys wouldn't buy into his style, his motivational style, because it's very different to what you get in club football, especially for people that's played in Europe. But like even Scott Arfield, who I thought might be a bit skeptical, he was singing his praises.
Yeah, I also add just quickly. Sorry, Zach. Just add quickly. On top of it being somewhat controversial, and there being some implications that he might have been holding their feet to the fire or making some threats, minor threats to try to get the job. There was also the whole fluoro thing, right? Which I've never heard the full explanation. I've heard whispers, but it certainly wasn't what we all thought how that was going to happen. So I think there's kind of that on top of this sort of, can we use the word controversial appointment or certainly some other factors. So I think that leads into all of it, if that's part of also the situation.
I want to say at the time, I do remember talking to, there was one player in particular I remember talking to, and it was just like, I don't care. It doesn't matter who he's coached. It's how he coaches it, it. And I think that's where things are
I think that was one of the biggest complaints was he's never coached at a high level on the men's side. He's never really coached on the men's side. He had some youth experience over in England, but I mean, that was about it. Just to switch back to the game, there's not a lot happening, which is why we haven't been talking too much about it. It's very bogged down in midfield. Now, I said about the pitch earlier that I said, it looks not bad. Even just 38 minutes into this pitch is starting to look as if horses have kind of run over it. It's kind of looking like a racetrack. It's really breaking up, especially kind of the camera side.
I think they did a lot of to make it look good kind of work, and in order to make it playable.
Yeah, it's not.
I think it's not lasted at all. Definitely, and I should mention that earlier it was like 67% possession for Canada and about 33 or whatever for Haiti. It's probably turned around a little bit since then, but that was what it was about a couple of minutes ago.
I mean, every time the ball is moving, stuff is coming off that grass.
Yeah,
it's not as bad.
It's like they put pellets or something down on it.
Yeah, I think to solidify the sod or whatever.
Yeah.
It's not as bad as that Man City versus the Whitecaps in 2011, where basically full rolls of like sod were coming up, like in how they were laid down.
That was crazy.
Yeah.
So it's a corner to Haiti, 39th minute. I think this might be Haiti's first corner of the afternoon. No men one man in the box right now for Haiti awaiting this corner, which is a little bit surprising.
Not a bad effort there by Kennedy.
Yep. It was a poor corner, really. I mean, it's easily cleared by Canada, but Haiti keeping the pressure on into the back post.
Oof. Michael, a couple of things from the chat. There were some conversations about the tie here, the two games, the two-legged affair. The away goals rule is in play. So that's important, and that's also why I think running up the score would be helpful, because these are all away goals. So a couple other things. Here's something I think we could maybe talk about that would be you guys might enjoy. Is I'm just trying to see who asked it. Oh yeah, CJJU asked, "What's Canada's best midfield for those bigger matches?"
That's a good question.
Stakio is definitely in there for me.
I had to have a Sorio in there.
You could have
both, and I think if he's fit and he's healthy and everything, I would put Hutchinson in there. Those are my three guys.
I mean, would you have
Well,
a three-man
definitely.
would you go three-man midfield?
Like
Like,
they are
say you're playing US and Mexico.
well, they're going for actually.
What lineup would you want to go with?
It's too at this point. I want to see these two games and then kind of because I want to still see what Kennedy offers and this back three how they work out, and so it's really too quickly to go for our lineup. But I know about I would say 8 of the 11 players or 9 of the 11 players. I know which ones I would want.
What about formation, Steve?
I don't know. I'm interested in seeing how this 3-4-3, 3-5-2 or whatever they're doing works out, or 3-4-3. Because I do like Davies wide, but I like him up the pitch, and in this position he kind of can do both.
Yeah.
I mean, the other question is, does Scott Arfield come back into the fold? And if he does, he's in the team for me.
And same with Atiba, right? So
Yes.
Naveed brought up Atiba, and and then there's Stacchio, Mark Anthony Kay.
Oh, I forgot about Mark Anthony. See, the
know.
midfield is not too bad either. It's just that back line that you need to figure out what's the best option, what's the best formation for that back line.
That really does shape the rest of it.
It's also how you want your midfield to play. And this takes, like in the Whitecaps, like, do you want your midfielders to be more defensive minded, or do you want them to be more attack minded? And when you're playing the bigger teams, you're going to need midfielders that will put in a solid defensive shift. So that is the likes of Mark Anthony Kay, Atiba.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, you might not have the luxury of having like Osorio and Estacchio and all those guys as well, if you want guys that are going to have maybe better defensive heads on them.
I think the Stacchio is decent defensively.
Yeah, he could probably do defensively.
He's
Osorio,
probably,
I think's more attack minded.
Yeah, I think Stacchio is more of probably the most two-way other than Anthony Kay.
He's like an 8. Yeah.
Yeah.
An attacking 8 or a centre back with a good leg, or
actually
talking of that, for any Whitecaps fans that have tuned in, I had an interesting chat with Axel Schuster yesterday. That will be on our next podcast.
Yeah,
no spoilers.
No spoilers, but I think
you want to listen. You want to listen.
There might be some unhappy Whitecaps fans by the end of it. That's all I'll say. January's looking good.
Some people.
I'm saying what year?
They spoiled it. I think based on what you've described as well, there might be some people in the organization not happy with some of the comments either. So we'll see exactly what happens.
Yeah.
Is it an 8 that can play as a 10?
Is there anyone that can play as anything? I think is the burning question after some of the stuff that was said.
I think right now a lot of people, if they sign a 1 and say he's a 10, they'll be happy.
Yeah. Well, you just have to add an extra 0, so you're good. So it's a corner to Canada as we're coming into the closing minutes of the first half here. 1-0 to Canada. Kyle Larn with the early goal for Canada. Lovely finish by Larn. He was left unmarked though, which is like poor from Haiti. You don't want to leave a guy unmarked to run to the back like that. But a corner to Canada. If they can sneak a second before half time here, that would be fantastic. As I said, I'm about 10 seconds behind a couple of the other guys here. A short corner. Never a big fan of short corners, and it's just a foul given away.
Michael, on the chat, Ryan says, my wife asked me to hang out. I said I can't because I'm watching the chocolate digestive guys.
I might go get some chocolate digestives for you there at halftime just to make you feel special.
Also, I told my kids I'm doing a podcast with a fish and chips guy.
Oh. Jason Armand from the island.
Hey, Jason.
Yeah, he says, "Is it cool if I mute the One Soccer commentary and just listen to you guys because you're way better than Wheeler?"
I take that as a huge compliment, but you're probably going to be way behind with what we're talking about. But yeah, I've got it muted because obviously come on. And like Zach's ahead of me because he's saying "come on." I'm seeing a Haiti goalkeeper with the ball at his feet, so I don't know what's happening here. But yeah, Canada now having a quick breakaway in the middle.
Zach's against time wasting.
So a throw into Canada. We've getting into the last 15 seconds of the first half. I wouldn't imagine more than 2 minutes stoppage time getting added on here.
Well, they had the well, you nailed it. You'll find out in a second. But they did have the water break. I thought it would be a little bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you have to be careful about the time wasting with the military in the background as well.
Yeah.
Well, they might stage a coup and they might be on the pitch in the second half for all we know. I haven't heard any, like, John Herdman was quite apprehensive about going to Haiti. He said that after the Suriname game. He spoke quite passionately about, yeah, you're going into a country that the Canadian government recommended travel to. And we know what happened when Belize went there. The bus got held up. But, I mean, everything seems to have gone smoothly. I haven't seen any negative signs. And the Haiti people in general are very friendly people. Mm-hmm. Oh, it's a reverse penalty there. And Canada brought down the Haiti guy in the box. And who was that? Because he's picked up a booking. Was that
22, Laria, yeah.
Laria.
It's a place where you don't want your wing back to get a yellow card.
Yeah.
You want to save those for later on the other side of the pitch.
James in the chat says that this field reminds him of away at Cuba in the Nations League. I'm not sure if it's the field or the play. It might be both.
Yeah, there was the field.
It was a little bit different, but it reminds me of this game I watched online for the Whitecaps when in their last year before MLS, where they were playing a Baltimore team. Or I think it was Baltimore, Maryland.
Baltimore Crystal Palace, yes.
Yeah, and their pitch was it hurt my head watching it because the way the colors were and the sod or the pebbles coming up, it was unbearable to watch.
Oh, Haiti calling for a foul there, not getting it, and Canada just getting on quickly but cut out.
The all-time worst pitch I can remember, it's not because of field conditions, was the Austin USL club back in 2015, and it was like a high school or college stadium, and there was 4 sets of lines, and I could never remember which were the soccer